My name is Elizabeth, Elizabeth Treptow, by the way. My title is Audience Engagement Team Member. It's sort of a blanket term for the people behind the app. And we are a team of experts, as you'll see in the introduction to the app when it pops up. We're a team of experts, educators, art historians who are ready for your questions, are ready to chat with you about art. So visitors come in, they download our app, or they use our phone number to text us. And it can be anything from just a photo of an object, like this mask right here, or it can be a question, or if they want a recommendation. There's no limit to the way that you can use it. And what we do is we do a lot of research, and we have a bunch of internal resources that you guys are all going to see that allow us to answer these questions. We spend a lot of time walking around the building so we know where everything is, and each of us has different specializations. Learning about art for the purpose of talking about art, which is sort of the core of what we do. We kind of figure out and learn from trends, and we have all this data from almost 3 years of the app being up and running to like what people gravitate towards, what they're going to ask about. So do you guys have any questions? Let's start there. We've done a little bit of work with kiosks. Part of it, we tried it out in our visible storage section where people tend to have the most questions because there aren't any labels in there. We did have to reformat the app a little bit and make sure that visitors couldn't get out of the app and just use the iPad as an iPad. And it worked okay, but because this app is so unusual and because people don't really know what it is until they use it, people didn't quite understand what it was that was in front of them without that sort of introduction of starting using it themselves. So people would just start leaving comments, or like kids would just write a bunch of emojis. And so far we haven't gotten it up and running the way that we think would be effective. Yes, user privacy is actually something that's really important to us because we want visitors to feel comfortable asking questions anonymously. The only data collection we do is with the conversation itself. So we don't even have your phone number if you text us. We don't know who you are. We don't know what you look like. We don't know how old you are. We don't know where you're from. Absolutely nothing. We only know the words and pictures that you have sent to us. That being said, we do record all of that, so we have all of the words and pictures that have ever been sent to us and everything that we've sent back, but that's all the information. That was another choice that we made to make this an in-building only experience. Part of that is because there are a finite number of people answering the questions. We're not going to be here 24 hours a day. There's only maybe 2 or 3 of us at a time. And part of that is because that's the traffic that we've seen. But it really is an in-building experience because also it sort of ties into a museum education model in that it's about looking and experiencing the piece in person. All right, I think with that, why don't you guys go ask a question or two, walk around, see how it goes, and then we'll head upstairs and see the other end.
Hey, hi, we're at the Brooklyn Museum. I'm Serena Troshinsky. We're working on the Brooklyn Ask app. So I have the app downloaded. I took a picture of one of the little statuettes. We are in the Infinite Blue collection right now, so I was curious to know what significance the color blue has in Egyptian culture. So I texted it in on the app, and I got a response pretty quickly. The first message was just to tell me there were some people in front of me and that I couldn't, it was going to take a second for them to connect with me. But then I got several messages with really detailed information that the color blue is significant because it represents fertility, it evokes the Nile River, and the hippo statuette is painted blue to represent the hippo being underwater. So it was a lot of helpful information. I think it's a really cool digital resource.
Well, okay, so as I mentioned before, I am one of the Ask team members who work here on the back end, and our main responsibilities are to answer chats as they come in, and also to research and prepare resources in this lovely program website that we refer to as the wiki, which includes an individual page for each object that's on view, or almost all of the objects on view, that have more information that help us to make the chats as information rich as possible. So just to show you a quick demo of what happened when you were testing out the app on the floor, I'll pull up the chat I was having with Serena. I believe it was this one.
Yeah.
So chat comes in, we hear that lovely dinging sound, and so we click on it, and you were asking about this object in infinite blue. We have beacons in the gallery that allow us to kind of triangulate your position and the objects that you're near so that we can more quickly find them. In this case, the beacon wasn't quite right, but I knew you were looking at a hippo, so I could type in hippo and then go through the beacons until I found that object. And so this page pulls up information that is found on our website, just the general object tombstone stuff, but it also includes a link to that object's wiki page, which was a resource likely created and edited by Elizabeth, who is our specialist in ancient Egyptian art. So I would claim your chat and start typing answers. Now, I'm familiar with ancient Egypt, so I had a lot of it in my head already that I told you, but I did kind of check the wiki and also refer to the snippets, which are kind of archived past chats that have been edited by team members and sometimes curators, that we can also use as a resource because they often can represent frequently asked questions about an object. The wiki is not public facing. It's an internal resource that we use that is available to us here on the Ask team and to other people in the organization if they need something. Like a lot of times we will give or send PDFs to people in education who are researching objects. It is through a company called Confluence, and specifically we're using their Atlassian, or do I have that backwards?
I think it's the other
It's
way.
the other
Yeah,
way,
okay, so it's through a company called Atlassian, and we're using their like Confluence kind of web app that allows teams to information share, and it's kind of flexible so you can organize it in many different ways, and we've organized it in this way that's kind of most comparable to a Wikipedia article. We subscribed to it. It's more like a rented online service that allows us to kind of aggregate all of this information in one place and format it in a way that's most convenient for our needs as researchers.
I was just editing a snippet in which someone asked what were all of the colors of paint that Degas used in this painting. Which we can't possibly know, but we try our best. And so Izzy, who's not here today, but who is really good at finding out that kind of information, managed to dig up a couple of the common pigments that Degas often used and share that with the visitor. Some other ones are like, what is the species of flower in this painting? Things like that. Those
Really
are
specific,
the weird ones.
So even though I've grown up on Long Island and I live very close to the city, I've actually never been to the Brooklyn Museum before, so this was a really exciting experience. It's a huge, beautiful facility. We got to explore a little bit in the Infinite Blue Room, which was really cool, and play around with their app, which is a nice little bit of technology. And it's really awesome. You get to take pictures of things or ask questions, and they have people on the back end answering questions, which we also got to see. So that was super neat, just seeing how we've been talking about technology in the class, so getting to see some technology at work and how it functions, and talk to the people running the technology and its implementation.
So,
I'd have to say my favorite thing about this experience was getting behind the scenes and viewing a museum from a working perspective. You always visit a museum and you see the exhibits, but getting behind the scenes is so interesting because it was a much calmer environment than I guess I expected. Like everyone's just chilling and it felt like a very collaborative atmosphere, and like I'm so into work environments, so that was so interesting to see. It was also really nice when we were talking to the archivist to hear some of the terms that we've seen in class and put them in a real context. Awesome to see how all of our readings mesh together in real life. Also, seeing the archive was so cool with all of the moving bays and seeing how, like, when I do my internship, everything is very old, and this is another perspective, seeing how a more modern and a bigger institution functions. It's fun.
So the first part of our trip was really interesting because we spoke to the associate archivist. We went behind the scenes to see the archives. My favorite part was just learning of what current issues are going on with her archives, the upcoming projects that she has, what her needs are. She's actually the only person on staff in the archives, and the amount of work and projects that are ongoing is pretty interesting. And then seeing the digital engagement team and how they promote interactivity in the museum was also really interesting, and I think a lot of the stuff we've been talking about in class has been directly related to that, so that's good.